welcome back. Just a short week later to a special meeting for the Vicksburg Planning Commission DDA. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:05 this evening. And Secretary Cox, will you please take roll call vote?
Chairman Schenkel.
Present.
Member DeBalt.
Here.
Member Bishop. Here. Member Fields.
Here.
Member Blinkenhorn.
Here.
Member Bailey. Here. And Member Cox. And then we have Mr. Yashi on Zoom.
Does he need to state where his location is?
Nick, you'll need to state the location you're remoting in from, the town. And Nick is aware that he can make comments but cannot have a recorded vote.
Sure, Jim. I'm here, remote here in Vicksburg, Michigan. Just unable to get to the meeting today.
Great, thank you. All right, next item on our list tonight is the approval of the agenda. And staff, do you want to add anything to this agenda?
Yeah, we're going to add just at the end, and it's informational only. It'll be less than 5 minutes. Jackie's going to update on the public participation plan. There's no action items. We realize it's a special meeting, but did want to give you, we sent an email out earlier today and asked for some input from individuals from the Planning Commission. All of you were sent the email, and then she'll have some timeline. So.
Great. Secretary Cox, it looks like you're making the notes too. I'm marking that down as 6B, presentation by Jackie Coney. Great. All right. So with that, I will call for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Fields, I move to approve.
And just so that you are aware, it is approval with the amendment to the agenda.
Approve with the amendment.
All right, we have a motion on the table from Fields. Do we have support for that motion?
This is Member Bishop, I support.
Member Bishop, support. Any further discussion from this body? All right.
I have one thing. Do you, we didn't get any minutes. Can we just table those minutes till our next meeting?
Sure.
On the agenda?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the, we will need to go through the motion as it's presented and vote on that. So the motion right now is with the amendment of the presentation, to include the presentation with Jackie Coney, not the approval of the minutes. Everyone clear? All right, so all in favor of approving the agenda for tonight as stated by the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. So with that, that motion, we do have the approval of the minutes. We are going to table that until the next meeting, which we will have in May, for review of those minutes. Next item on our agenda is citizen comments. If anyone present would like to make those comments, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Seeing no one move, we will move forward. The item that we are here to discuss is the car wash text amendments, and I will toss it over to staff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We have sent the text amendments. Previously, the memo which McKenna had in support that reviewed Southwest Michigan. The short story on this is, and I'm going to introduce Pat Pearson, who is the developer behind potential car wash coming to the village. He's in attendance in the meeting. I have asked with Chairman Schenkel's permission that he can say a few words tonight. But when we started conversations with Pat in our review of the ordinance, we realized there was no definition listed within the ordinance for car wash in the history of the village of Vicksburg. So I asked McKenna to do a review of communities similar size throughout Kalamazoo County specifically, and if the need to broaden beyond that. And it was in the C2 commercial district that was an appropriate place for the definition to establish. It also creates a special land use application. So what we have set up is the proper noticing. This was published in MLive to be held tonight at 6 p.m. to put in the text amendments to the ordinance. If the Planning Commission follows the recommendation of staff and approves those text amendments, it will be presented in front of the council at their 7 o'clock meeting tonight for the same approval. Then published approval will begin tomorrow morning. We have a special use application that would be presented in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is our village council, on May 6th for a request for a car wash from Mr. Pearson and his wife. And then it would return to with approval there, it would return May 13th to the Planning Commission at minimum for a sketch site plan with more details, hopefully a full site plan, but certainly no later than June, a full site plan review in the Planning Commission for a car wash. Having said that, I thought maybe a few words from Mr. Pearson, with your permission. And if you can just put the on button on the bottom there.
Hi, everybody. I want to say thanks for the opportunity to come in to talk to everybody about this project my wife and I are working on. We're new to this area. We attend church over here. That's how I got familiar with Vicksburg. And we just spent some time, in the local community, downtown. Then we got introduced to the Burt Days, which that's just amazing to us. Hats off to all of you for doing that. So we've brought many of our friends to it. Just very impressed. It just seems like the business owner, the people in the community have always been welcoming. So we've enjoyed that. And that kind of gave us the idea of, let's look around for some property. I had retired, and it wasn't what I was thinking about doing, but it was just the welcoming of the community. And then, so we did find a piece of property, and I got with Jim, asked him a little bit about, what was going on, if this could be happening. And he had got me in touch with many of you here with my questions that I had, concerns. And I will say for you guys, wherever this goes, the village, this is not heard of. I've been in the car wash industry over 30 years, and this is just not heard of a community being so willing to help, give you the answers, not push you away. A lot of communities just don't want anything to grow. And obvious, we got from the community that other people had mentioned, it needs a car wash, it doesn't have anything, so that's what we did. So we started putting it out on paper. We're trying to keep everything that we can local. We went outside and looked at other quotes on, some stuff, but at the end of the day, my wife and I both are from a small community. I was born and raised in the small business environment, so I know it's important to keep things in the area. So we've done everything we can, as far as our banking, our financing, our builders, electricians, everything we're trying to do, keep in this area for the income. So hopefully we can get this across the finish line, and we should have a site plan ready for everybody to review the May 13th meeting, I think it is. So our general contractor's working on that. But again, hats off to you guys for what you're doing in this community, because this, as soon as we seen what was going on, it's like, this is the place. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd answer those. Or
And one, if there are questions, but if they're like site plan or site development, maybe those can wait till we actually give you guys the plans and questions. It'd be right on Richardson Street, right down, in the empty lot next to the gray barn, right down here. I don't have the exact address in front of me.
Richardson and
But
Vine.
it's already zoned C2 and fits.
Just didn't want to make sure it was next to Matt's house.
Convenience, those car washes.
Do have some property to the north of that saving for an industrial. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What's in front of the board tonight is, you've had, for a few weeks now, the McKenna letter, but this is the actual ordinance. It contains all the details that was recommended in the staff recommendation. Staff be happy to answer any questions, but we are recommending a motion, support, and a roll call vote to place these text amendments into the ordinances and have published. It would, and the decision here will go to the 7 o'clock meeting as well.
Jim, can I ask that you give us kind of the executive summary of this information? There's a lot of like legalese and things in here. I'm looking just for what was the story behind how we got to this point and setting up this framework for zoning for a car wash?
Again, it started on the basis of, I can't speak pre-2016. I have no idea how they authorized any car wash to be in town when they didn't have governmental ordinances in place that would approve one. They would have to answer that. And this ordinance is developed with a review of the other municipalities' ordinances governing car washes, and then making it applicable to the city or village of Vicksburg. In our zoning vernacular, it fits the C2 zoning. Some municipalities might call that B2 or different type of framework. And so all the information, the summary is, it's based on the best we could write this ordinance for the village of Vicksburg structural needs, but reviewed other municipalities specific to car washes. We did make it a special land use application as well. And so that would bring in the zoning board of appeals for additional review. With a car wash, there's water hookup that gets analyzed and that, and certainly Pat's aware, and we're looking at different ways of what is appropriate to factor in those hookup fees. So, but it's based, it was written by the village attorney with McKenna's input, based on best practices for zoning governing car washes.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, because I noticed we deleted the used car lot from everything, and not that I'm aware of any used car lot that's looking to come into town, but down the road, does that mean we would have to then, if there was an interest in something like that, then we'd have to look at adding that back in? Or, I guess I'm just wondering,
I
was there a
believe that's
reason we
covered on-
deleted one thing in order to make this other thing come in?
The used car lot is just deleted from the table of special land uses. If someone were to want to sell used cars, they wouldn't have to go for a special land use, but it still would have to fit the zoning that's been established for a commercial sale of automobiles.
I was just curious
No.
why we took something out.
It's just out of the special land use.
Okay.
Any other questions, or then if
All right. If there are no further questions, we do have an action item in front of us for amending the C2 zone with the proposed. Call for a motion for that regarding that action item.
This is Member Bishop. I would like to make a motion to update the special land use chart to add car wash.
All right, we have a motion from Member Bishop. Do we have support for that motion?
Support from Blankenhorn.
Support from Plankenhorn. All right, if there are any further comments from anyone here or online, now would be the time.
Nick, if you want to go ahead and make comments.
Yeah, I think it's, I think it always comes down to improving our quality of life here in the village, right? And I mean, I think we can all say that we take our cars to get clean, and it's good to keep the money here in town.
Thank you.
Any further comments? All right, Secretary Cox, will you please take a roll call vote?
Member Bishop,
Yes.
Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Fields,
Yes?
Chairman Schenk,
Yes.
Yes.
yes. Cox is a yes.
Great, thank you. Next item on our list is Ms. Coney. Go ahead. Hi.
Add. So we shared with you today a new document that is a requirement for the Redevelopment Ready Communities, or RRC program. It's called a Public Participation Plan, or a P3 for short. But before I dive a little deeper into the document, I want to note that Julia from the MEDC and I will be presenting at the council work session on April 29th at 6 p.m. And I'd really encourage Planning Commission members to attend that meeting if at all possible, as many of the best practices we need to adopt to be a redevelopment-ready certified community directly relate to Planning Commission responsibilities like zoning ordinances and master planning. At that meeting, Julia will provide an overview of the RRC program, and then I'll be sharing what we've accomplished in the last few months and what's left to do to reach essentials status with that program. So back to the document. The foundational idea of a P3 is that public participation, when properly executed, builds community consensus and strengthens sense of place, with the result being development that the whole community planned for, smoother approval processes, and a more satisfied public. So how do we properly execute public participation? The first step is to have a plan. The document in front of you is our draft plan, which was written after reviewing the MEDC's Guide to Public Participation and about a dozen other communities' plans that the MEDC identified as good examples. A P3 is used to identify effective and proactive engagement tools to increase accountability and transparency, requiring a municipality to often seek public input as well as record and share the results. The plan should be used as a daily guide for how to best incorporate the public in decisions that affect their space. Elected and appointed officials such as yourselves and staff need to commit to its use, reviewing and updating as we learn which tools are most successful. As such, it's important that all of you review the plan and provide feedback. Christian, Michelle, Chief Sanderson, and Teresa have all carefully reviewed the plan, and I want to thank them publicly for their very thoughtful comments and suggestions, which I've incorporated into this draft. So when you're reviewing, I'd ask that you ask yourself some questions. First of all, does it even make any sense? Does it flow well? Is it readable? Is it accurate? Do you think the ideas are doable? Do you have ideas to add? Are we missing anything that we're already doing and I just forgot? And is there anything you can think we can cut? Because it's a pretty hefty plan. It's a doozy at 25 pages, so I thought I'd better give you at least a week to review it. So I'd appreciate your comments and suggestions by next Wednesday, April 24th, so that I can organize your comments and report back at the meeting on the 29th. The goal is to have a final version ready for approval at your May 13th meeting, followed by council approval on May 20th. So, and please feel free to reach out to me at any time with any questions, and I hope I see most of you, or some of you at least, at the meeting on the 29th. If you have any questions now, I'm happy to answer them, but.
Jackie, the meeting on the 29th is held here.
Yeah, if
6
I
p.m.
can just clarify something. The May 13th presentation of this plan will be the open meeting soliciting input. The email that was sent individually to all 9 members of the Planning Commission today asked simply for your review to send to Jackie and I as an individual. We'll incorporate what goes into the draft plan and report back on May 13th. But I want to make clear that in no way is any formal adoption of this plan taking place by email. There's no vote. We're just attempting to allow each individual member of the Planning Commission to send their thoughts on the plan. So it'll be a draft that goes April 29th and a draft that is formally presented in the open meeting on May 13th. So, and then, but I think if someone had a question, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay.
Jackie, can you give us kind of an idea of what the redevelopment ready community is?
April 29th, we'll be doing a presentation to share exactly what that is. So I'm kind of,
Okay.
we're kind of going in opposite directions of things. But a very short story is that the MEDC has a program called Redevelopment Ready Communities that help communities become, to help with development, basically, to make sure that your development processes are transparent, they're predictable, and that developers want to come to your town. And then there are 2 levels of the program. One is essentials level and the other is called certified. And there's different things you have to do to achieve those certifications. They recently added that second level of essentials. That's like an easier one to get, because a lot of small towns and villages were having a real hard time achieving the full certification. But it's a really nice stamp of approval to put on your community's website and say, we are redevelopment ready certified. And developers know when they see a community like that they can go right online, they can see everything they need to know to be able to be, make it easy for them. So that's basically what this is about. And Jim started this process a few years back, and it's just been hard to get it through the finish line. And so I've come in to kind of help get some of these documents like this kind of set up for you guys to review and get implemented in internal processes and things like that. And that'll go in a lot more detail on the 29th.
Yeah, I would just simply add to that it's the MEDC in their collection of data has put this roadmap together that establishes like best practices through trial and error, if you will, but through their research. Here's what the platform should be to have best practices within the state of Michigan for a municipality.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Jackie?
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. All right, last item on our agenda for this evening before we adjourn is member comments. Any member comments?
Nick, do you have any comments? Now would be to make it on the cell phone.
No, nothing outside of earlier. No, thanks.
Okay, the time is 6:29. I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.